All right, we're here with Jax Forrest. Electric match, electric win over Drake Ayala. He's never been tech before in his NCAA career. Obviously, you're a point-scoring machine, but what were you feeling out there as you took the mat?
I was just, I trusted the coaches, and they were like, let's have a different approach with our warm-up. Last week, I was a little, I didn't get my heart rate enough, so my legs got a little tired. I was a little slow in the beginning. This week, I blew my lungs out, blew my legs out a little bit with Dayton. Just trying to get myself tired, so when I get out there, I'm not like letting the moment get too big for me. But when I was just wrestling, it felt like I was just back in flow state, something that, it's been hard for me to get to just because of, all the ups and downs of, traveling, worlds, all that. But now I feel like that's the best possible thing that could happen to me going forward.
So you feel like you kind of unlocked a little thing for
yeah. I think I've just been getting a lot better, just as coach likes to say, going game, just finding a way to win. They're not pretty, being down 6-1 is never pretty. But this week I felt was like a perfect match, and if I wrestle like that, it's gonna be hard to beat me.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I want to go back a little bit. The decision. I was just talking with David. Like, I asked David, when did you first have this idea? Like, hey, what if Jax came here early? What were your thoughts when you first heard about it? And were you always like, yes, I want to do it and I want to do it right away, or did you have like kind of a back and forth? How was your process?
It was up and down so much. The first time I ever heard about it was actually when Gilman was here. When Gilman was here after NCAAs, it was like the after party, after I was committed. So I was there, really excited because Wyatt. And Gilman like subtly made the remark like, Jax is going to do this next year. We're going to have him graduate early. And like, I think he might have let it slip out. It sounded like what my mom said. But he like said like a little remark like that. And then obviously, he leaves. So, I never really thought anything about it. And then it was just during freestyle, after I won the Open, then beat Vito, I was kind of like, I was going to come early regardless. I wasn't thinking about like joining the team or anything. I was just going to come be just living down here, kind of like what I did this summer, not really taking classes, not on the college team, just wrestling freestyle, doing the ranking series. And then it was just like every time I would talk to coach, it seemed like a little bit more. He's like, we really want you here, and now we want you taking a gray shirt. And then we're gonna have you come in and doing red shirt. And then I was like, all right, that's not happening. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna wrestle.
So at what point were you like, I want to wrestle for sure?
So my whole thing was I didn't want to wrestle after, because like the world's was just crazy. I was going to seniors. I was like, I'm gonna win seniors. I'm not gonna do U23s. And then obviously the way that happened, I couldn't go out like that. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna do U23s. Then I'm gonna be done. I'm just gonna just try and get better. So I was like, if I go down there, I want to like use a couple days, but I don't want to go to NCAAs. I was telling my dad, I was like, I don't think it's smart. But then obviously now that I'm down here, I'm like, I'm wrestling, I'm doing really good. This weight is gonna be so hard, it's gonna be so fun. And so I'm like, going through a bracket, you gotta win 3 hard matches. I've won about 15 hard matches this year. So I'm like, I can go and do it. And now it's like, I feel like I'm unlocking a new level where it's like this whole week after last week, I was like, I just hate that was my last match I wrestled. I want a hard match. I want to go out there. I want to get hit in the face. I want to go and get tired and keep pushing, keep going through it.
You talked about the weight. You wrestled Aaron Seidel. You just wrestled an NCAA finalist, and you got Lucas Bird, the returning champ, Marcus Blaze, someone you wrestled, Ben Davino. Just the challenges that those guys present. And when I think about Bird and Blaze, I think of they're great wrestlers, but they're very, very hard to score on. How do you think you match up against guys like that are, I'm not sure Marcus is giving up a takedown this year.
Yeah, I think it's just, that's just what I'm trying to get better, finding ways to win. I'm getting really good on top. If I need to go into a tiebreaker match with him, I know I can hold him down for 30 seconds. I know I can get out in 30 seconds. So, I hope every match is like this, but, odds are I'm going to be wrestling guys. They're going to be scouting. They're going to know. So if I need to, come down to riding someone out or getting out, I have confidence in myself. He is really good defensively. He's really hard to get to. But on the other coin, it's like I know I can ride him. So it's like I might not need to take down to win. I might be able to get a reversal. I might be able to turn him, something like that, where it's just there's so many ways to win. I don't think I need to get a takedown to necessarily beat somebody. I think I can beat them any way I want.
When did you feel when you got here? Obviously, you've trained a lot at Oklahoma State, but joining the team, when was that moment you're like, whoa, I'm jumping levels already here? Do you remember that moment, or that maybe the practice?
Yeah, I wrestled like the first week I came down for that OU duel. I wrestled Sergio, and it was really hard. First time kind of wrestling him. We did a match, and it was so hard. I was so tired. I was starting to bring my weight down because I knew I was wrestling. But I remember I was just like, man, I'm gonna need to get better. And then I wrestled the OU duel, hadn't wrestled, and then wrestled Sergio the next week. And then I was like just went in with a different mindset. That day with Sergio, I was kind of going in expecting things to be easy. Like, I'm a senior world team member, I'm a world champ, it's gonna be easy. But now I'm like, I don't want things to be easy anymore. I want them to be hard. I want it to get tired. I want to be in a grinder match and have to pull out a 7-point move. Where I think just the coaches have just helped me, talking to me, every single day, regardless of the coach, just giving me information that's just helped me so much, and just jumping levels mentally and then even physically, because my wrestling, I know how good my wrestling is. If I can open somebody up, just my ability to score points, get in a weird position, figure my way out of it is, if I can get my mental right, then those are going to happen.
Kind of a separate topic, but definitely germane to what we're talking about. Do you feel like this move coming out of high school, do you think this could start a trend? Do you think more wrestlers will see this and coaches will see this and consider it? Or do you feel like you're just a very unique circumstance in that way?
I hope it does. I mean, that'd be really cool. It was kind of like, not that I started it, but I did the Clarion Open as a freshman, and then I think people saw that, and then they started doing it a lot. So I'm trying to just be a little different, set some new trends maybe. I hope. I know people have talked about Melvin doing it.
Right.
And, I don't know if he will or not. I haven't really talked to him about it, but I mean, if he does, we all know how good Melvin is, and then being in that room where they got some good guys, he'd be really good next year. But I don't know. It's just everybody's different. They want to do different things. Some people are set to being a 4-time state champ, having the most wins or whatever. But I just trying to win everything as early as I can.
One of the things a lot of people, I think on the outside, I doubt it's a topic of conversation much here, but with you having a limited schedule, your seed could be kind of strange given how great you are. Have you thought about that? Has that ever been a conversation like, hey, you might, if you wrestle and even if you win Big 12s, like you might find yourself with kind of a wonky seed relative to how great you are? Have you thought about that?
A little bit, but then it's just like, all right, I'm gonna wrestle Seidel. Seidel's not gonna lose anymore. I mean, you never know what's gonna happen, but
right.
I think he's gonna go win the ACC pretty easy. I beat him and I beat Drake, so I'll be seated ahead of them. That's where I'll really know. I'll be seated ahead of whoever I would wrestle at Big 12s. So I mean, that's all I can do. I'm really good where people are gonna see this match and they're probably not gonna want to wrestle me. If I'm the bad draw, regardless, I think.
What's the you talked about being scouted? I mean, how do you scout Jax Forrest, the guy who's good from offense, defense, top, bottom? What are some of the? I mean, is that something you feel like you've experienced in some matches before?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I felt it a lot last week with just kind of like what he was doing. His tendencies kind of switched. He was more, posting, popping, getting to his shots, bringing him up to his feet, not letting him stay on the mat. And then on top, obviously, he was doing the same things that he always does. But I mean, the best way to beat me is to do as little as possible, and that's where someone like Bird, like Blaze, they're going to be really hard matches. But if I can just get him to wrestle me, I think that's my best chance.
Yeah. One of the things I meant to ask you yesterday and I forgot, in the Seidel match, I think the thing that stood out more than anything, it wasn't the turn, it wasn't the takedown. How did you stay off your back? It was like 2, maybe 3 times where it's like he's going to give up swipes, and you somehow, for a guy that's probably not on their back very much, you're very adept there.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling Sergio Vega.
Really?
Wrestling with him, wrestling with Dayton, wrestling with Coach Jimmy. They put me on my back, and I'm like, danger. Like, because when we do live, we'll have guys, when me and Sergio are wrestling, it's like, hey, danger one. So I'm like, I got to get off. So I think that's kind of where the big like plus happens. But I'm so like hard to hold. I can just squirm out of position. So like, I don't, that's why I like rolling so much, because I know I'm going to get off my back, and it might come back and bite me, if I get someone gets a quick 2 count, but I'm just going to keep trying to just be unholdable. You can't squeeze me because I'm going to find a way to get out of it.
Last thing, just the team being on Oklahoma State, getting a win over Iowa. What was that experience like?
Oh, it was so cool. And I love being a lightweight because I can watch the wrestling. I mean, I get done with a great match, and then I'm down watching Sergio get a pin. Then I'm watching my other teammates, and it's awesome, seeing Zach gut out a win that, was a little crazy. Some people would think it's a takedown or not, but, we go with whatever the refs say, and then we keep wrestling. And he just dug deep and found a way, which is, which has been his struggle this year. Obviously, he's lost those close matches, so I think him just getting that one is really big for him.
Awesome. Well, you got Big 12s, NCAAs. I'm sure you're excited for that. Anything else before we let you go, Jax?
Oh, not much. Just go Cowboys.
Thanks.